We're going to call to order the Town of Sangerville Board of Selectmen special meeting, October 25th, 2017 at 4:02. All board members are present, along with the town manager. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, approval of minutes October 4th, 2017. Do you want to do them all at once?
Yeah.
Okay. And October 9, 2017 special meeting, and October 18, 2017.
Make a motion to approve all as written.
Second.
In favor? Item 3, review of treasurer's warrants, payroll 165, accounts payable 166, 167, and 168.
Make a motion to approve.
Second. All in favor? Item 4, open session. Anybody want to speak today? Item 5, selectmen's concerns. Anybody have concerns?
Actually, I only had one call, wanted to know if we discussed the car sitting in the parking lot. I told him we did.
I called, I looked in Trio, we do not have that VIN number registered in town. I called the sheriff's department and the secretary or their receptionist, whatever she is, wouldn't give me the name and number or location. She said it has to be directly transferred by a deputy, and I have not heard from the deputy. So today I called the state, and there's a program called Inform Me that I can go, and I'm trying to get that hooked up, and we should be able to put the VIN number in there and find out who it belongs to.
Okay. You have some insight, Tom?
Well, you're on the topic of, some enforcement issues. What, I probably should have spoke up a little bit earlier. The damage up at Milton Mills Cemetery, has that been addressed at all?
Yeah, there was some pictures of it.
Asked me about it.
Yeah, there were some pictures of it in the last meeting. So, yeah, everybody's aware of it. I guess it's happened more than once.
Oh,
It's,
yeah.
it's happened twice, and the sheriff's department has been contacted.
Okay, all right. Okay, thank you.
And as well as David Kimball for the
Yeah,
sexton.
Well, and I know, I personally not friends with Mr. Dobson on Facebook, but he put up a post with all of those pictures. And I actually saw that from six other people that shared that last night.
Oh,
So it's getting a lot of,
that's how you catch them.
yeah, there's a lot of unhappy people.
Yeah.
with whoever did that.
Well, and there's one where they have the 4 marble stones that mark the 4 corners of their plot, and they went right over the, yeah. So. And just on a side note, if you haven't looked at the gazebo, it is leaning. And Jason contacted the builder, and he's supposed to come look at it tomorrow. The roof
Leaning
is
like it's racking or like it's sinking?
Like it's racking? Racking or sinking?
racking.
That's not good.
So
Oh, dear.
he's supposed to come tomorrow with some of his
With a
guys.
snow load?
And they're supposed to fix it.
Could be even a leaf load if you got enough
Well,
racking.
and we're supposed to have like 40-mile-an-hour winds tonight, so hopefully the roof is still standing tomorrow.
Oh my. That's not good news.
No.
Any other selectmen concerns? Committee reports.
None.
New business trio update.
I have included you this letter about Trio. Trio eventually is going to go to Trio Web, but to get there from where we are, we have to update twice. And the first update is called SQL, and it's a change of database. And the email that I've given you outlines everything that the SQL will be able to do. And so it's within my budget. I'm going to do the first upgrade. It takes 2 upgrades to get to web. Web's not ready until 2019, but if we can do the sequel now and get used to the sequel, it's more of how the web is going to be run, and hopefully more efficient. When you, did we talk about it before?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
we could pull like one person's name and
And
it
then-
shows everything, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you get to web, right now, when you're in Trio, so if the ladies are doing payroll or accounts payable, and a customer comes in, they have to back out of everything to help the customer. In the Trio web version, they can have both windows open at the same time, so they don't have to leave what they're
Start
doing
over.
and start over. So we wanna get the upgrade.
And this is also gonna be a lot more secure, right? I mean, for
I'm
record retention and
assuming-
things
yeah.
like that.
Well, and if it's a web-based server, the
It's in the cloud.
cloud, right, I mean, you're not gonna be, if you crash, then it's gonna be there.
But that's 2 upgrades away.
Yes.
So what's the
But-
total cost gonna be?
The first upgrade cost is 2,400, I believe, and we budgeted, we have $1,400 left right now in the Trio budget itself, and we have enough extra in the administration budget to pick up the extra 1,000. We're not gonna go over bottom line. And they are also increasing, I don't know if you've read that, they are increasing the yearly fees as well, maintenance fees.
It didn't say that, by what percentage they're increasing, right? I did read this whole thing.
No, I have it in the
Yeah.
folder in the office.
Okay.
It's significant.
So, I mean, once we get to the web version, is that supposedly gonna make more efficient cost-wise too? Or is our rates, you know, so like some of these things,
That's
they
a good
penalize you
question.
for not going to the newer. So they will
Right.
make your increases, but the faster you change over to this newer version,
Right.
that's not the case that you've heard yet or anything.
I haven't heard one way or the other.
But either way, we're committed to this, right? I mean, we don't
Yeah.
have option within 2 years.
And we could stay at Access for a very long time, but it would become very non-user friendly. It's like Windows 3. I mean, it's
just
still out there and usable, but it's not supported by any.
Right, and
You know.
inefficient in
Yes.
the end, really.
Yeah.
Well, it seems like if you're gonna have Trio, you should
Right,
keep it
right.
updated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
If you're not, I mean,
Right.
and see, we are committed to Trio, so.
Yeah.
But doing this has nothing to do with the version of, or what we have for accessories for our Trio, correct?
Correct.
So,
That's a later thing that we should look at.
it's like we don't have the tax map capabilities in our Trio.
No.
And even when we make this, we still have to add, if we wanna talk about that later. Go. Just making sure I'm on the same page.
I guess is there any reason that we would wanna roll this grade out a couple months and get it into next year's budget?
How many towns are in it?
Are we in the sequel?
Yeah.
Or in Trio?
How many do we have in Trio? How many are already rolled over to this?
Trio has approximately 450, 480 municipalities that they service. And at that meeting that I went to, they have 12 enrolled in the sequel because they didn't advertise it. They didn't do this is the first time I've ever seen a Trio meeting like this. It was at the Maine Municipal Convention, which I didn't go to the whole convention. I just went to this part of it. And I don't think they've ever done that before. And now that they've been testing the web, Hancock County, the county, not the municipality, but the county itself has been one of their testers. And I think another bigger town has been one of their testers on the web portion. And they're like, you just can't imagine the difference. But because the Trio that we use right now, the database is the Access database, so we have to convert to the SQL database before we can go to the web.
Only because I'm in third round of updates and new software at work and ready to strangle every IT person I see at the moment. With only 12 people that have done this, I mean, is this all bugged out, no issues? We can do this now when we're all set, or should we wait a little while to see a few more towns do this and get the
I would
bugs out?
just do it because it doesn't matter. It's gonna have bugs, even the Trio Access you have has bugs. And when you have that issue, you call them and they write a little script line to fix it, and they download it onto your system, and
How is their support?
it has been pretty crappy, but they have just added, at this meeting, they're adding 3 new reps to help.
Yeah.
Because that's been a complaint, an ongoing complaint that they've been receiving, that, you know, you'll be on hold for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they've actually got some people where they're,
Is there any competitive product? I mean, you have 480 municipalities, they pretty much got it sewed up.
they do. I know some towns use Munis, but I haven't heard. Doreen, when she was in Florida, they used Munis. She likes it, but today we was talking to somebody at another class, and they don't like Munis. They said there's too many different windows that you have to switch back and forth from to go through the process of one transaction. So, and then there's a learning curve, and Trio's, because Trio is majority, I would stick with Trio. Because if you have to replace an employee, you want somebody that already knows Trio. Munis are hard to find. Munis.
So basically
efficient.
Munis maybe in nationally, different areas use
Yes,
Trio or Munis
exactly.
or.
Maine's,
Right.
looks like Maine's pretty much
Maine
Trio.
is pretty much Trio, yeah.
No, that's my only concern is I don't like being the first dozen people on an update, but that's me.
Well, every town has to update before 2019,
Oh.
before they can do the web.
Oh.
So they have to update to SQL
Between now and
first.
next year, yeah, they have to.
Yeah.
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 I call it a management decision.
That's
Right,
Yeah.
right.
That's not
I
really.
just wanted to let you know that's
Yeah.
what I was doing. I
Yeah,
wasn't
no,
Yeah.
Thank
just
if
keeping
you
you
feel like,
informed.
Thank you.
if you feel like the funding works to do it this year, I don't know why we would object.
Well, especially when we don't know what it's gonna cost next year, and I don't really wanna get into a situation next year with rising cost of Trio and then a double hit for upgrades.
Right, well, and that's it. I know
That's-
that to upgrade then from SQL to the web is another 2,500. I do know that figure already.
It's like Windows, they get
Wow.
they're built right in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Oh, yeah. Do you have any inexpensive news for today?
Rec committee grant application, maybe to rebuild that gazebo.
Well, the Economic Development Committee, only Rhonda Taylor showed up. And Chris Winstead was and met on Monday, and so one of the things that we talked about was getting a grant for the fencing around that, and we had discussed that we had been denied through the Libra Foundation. And Chris said, well, do the Stephen King Foundation. He says very frequently they will approve because they give a lot of donated funds, grants, for these kinds of projects. And he also said, Rhonda had said that her and Jason have talked about not doing bathhouses because that would mean getting an employee to have to clean them, and they weren't going to clean bathrooms, and so they're opting to keep the porta potties, but they want a more stable place to put them. So Chris said, find somebody, get a price on a concrete pad and more fencing to put around the 3 sides of them. Figure out how big it's got to be and put that in the grant as well, and they may be able to fund all of it through the grant. So, but to do that process, you have to vote to approve the rec committee or Chris Winstead or anyway to approve the application process for the Stephen and Tabitha King.
Are there any obligations created on the part of the municipality?
Not on a King grant usually. They're
That would be I would want to know for certain that we're
Okay.
not.
Just put that stipulation in how we approve it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
as long as there's no matching funds or
Right.
Yeah, as long as
town.
there's, yeah, no.
Or
impedance
onerous
on it.
accounting or anything.
Right,
Like,
that's, yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer if it's a pure grant.
It usually is. I know I've gotten a fire department grant and it's just pure grant.
Right. Okay.
Want to make a motion that way?
Go right ahead.
Make a motion that we allow the rec committee to pursue grants through Stephen King with, as long as no contingencies upon the town thereafter.
I would second that. Any further discussion? Those in favor? C, Sangerville Development Corporation deed.
I have this corrected deed, I forwarded it to you so that you could check it out. It's just the difference of, when the town received the land, it was like 87 degrees, 47 minutes. And then when they sold it, whoever typed it did a transposition, and it was 87 minutes to 87 degrees 74. So this is just a corrective deed for that.
Who picked that up?
I believe they're selling it, so their lawyer picked it up.
Title
Oh.
search.
So that's Lat Launch. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
The Lat Launch? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's south 87 degrees, 47
Okay.
minutes, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
Yeah. I was surprised that in the 70s they put in latitude longitude.
Oh,
That's a 78 deed that we're correcting.
wow. Wow, that is interesting. Back in the dark ages.
Yeah, they didn't have like the handheld GPS.
They was still
But they have
Latin
to use
long
it.
in the 70s.
They have to use a sextant or something.
Yeah, they had compasses.
Okay.
Moving on to item 8, old business. We're still looking for some committee members. I did reach out to some people, I didn't hear back. So I don't have anybody to add. Doesn't mean I wouldn't reach out to some of those same people again, but I don't have any names.
Right. And I've thought about it and then haven't
Okay.
caught up with anybody.
Moving on to item B, personnel policy. That's kind of the meat of this meeting.
Can we do C really quick?
Yes, go ahead. French's Mills ATV use.
Just kind of an update.
Good.
The rail bed does not close.
Aha.
That was the information that I was finding, that it's because it's open to snowmobiles and everything is what's open.
And
year-round.
horses and everything else, that rail bed doesn't close at all. In our town ordinance, or town, how we approved the access is through December 1st. And then, of course, if you get peanut snow or whatever, it cancels it before that, but, last year, the club actually pulled the signs like second week in November because it was starting to get really cold and we didn't wanna go pull them in December, actually.
But
So-
you guys can pull the sign on the ITS 85 or just locally?
No, we
Yeah.
pulled the signs off the road.
Yeah,
Which is what we did last year. So, and actually, my trail master sent me a message this morning that he would really like to go pull signs this weekend
Cause it's gonna be so muddy.
because of the rain, the mud.
Oh, well, that might be
And
good.
all of the area towns' trails are closed
Yes.
right now. They all close November 1st. Actually, don't ask, some of them closed like the 26th. They were like oddball days before, but they looked to me, some hit around Youth Day to be closed for Youth Day.
Oh, yeah.
And then the majority of them are closed for opening day of hunting.
Which
Again.
is what day? November 1st?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, Saturday, the 28th.
Oh,
it's
okay.
20
Okay.
Residents only.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense.
Yep.
That's July. then.
So the ITS 85 is regulated by conditions. You can't drive an ATV on it if there's snow or
Correct.
that sort of.
Yep.
Right.
So yes, technically speaking, the rail bed would be open, but the way the law reads for AVT on the roads, if it's not signed, they're not allowed to ride on it. So,
And I didn't know, so we go out every fall and pull all the signs.
we pull all the signs except for the ones that our previous town manager bought us bolts to put them on the
Oh.
actual signs.
The T-posts.
Yeah, some of those bolts are break-off bolts, so you can't,
Right.
they're on their own. So those ones, we can't, but all the rest of them mainly are on T-posts or on posts in the ground or whatever. All of those we pull.
So that's something that Lois could decide, or do we need a motion to say, pull these signs?
Well, I
this
would
weekend?
almost, I know last year, I think
Or does your club do it?
the club is the one that would actually be doing it, but he suggested this weekend, so.
Who will we argue with the club?
That's right, I think that sounds good.
But I would rather have it be okayed through here, because once the club pulls these signs, then that's stopping the access right then.
Correct.
Because the roads are no longer signed.
Legal access.
Correct, because the roads are no longer legally signed. So I don't really wanna, I mean, the club will do it, but I would just as soon have all of us in agreement that that's the action we want to happen.
So would you want a motion that we accept the recommendation of,
Sure.
what's in once you make it, you know the name of the club, and
Sangerville Nights ATV.
so,
Yeah. Yeah, that's our trail master recommended that we pull the signs this weekend.
So I'll make a motion that we concur with the Sangerville Knights ATV club to pull the signs this weekend.
yeah, Friday.
Friday, okay, as a
I think
Friday.
he's gonna do it on Sunday, but.
Oh,
Okay,
you guys
okay.
pull them anyway, that's
Right.
right, yeah.
Yeah.
I would second that.
Okay.
Further discussion, raise in favor?
That's good.
Do you wanna go to fuel bid first? Okay.
Yeah, we might as well get that Oscar one done. So you wanted more information on, if McCusick's and A. Robinson would break it up, and they both agreed, yes, they would break it up. However, I've given you this one, they've adjusted their price, they did ask for, McCusick's price. And McCusick also asked for their price, but they
Right.
didn't offer anything back. Both companies, though, stated that whoever furnishes the fuel oil, they must furnish the maintenance contract for the furnace.
Yeah.
And currently, we are with A.E. Robinson. So,
A.E. Robinson offers these plans that guarantees your boiler but are we enrolled in anything like that? Or maybe they only do it in
it's the
municipality?
$300 plan, whatever that is, but it also includes the tank protection at no additional cost.
'Cause there's
Don't we
no-
have a sensor or something that calls them too, I believe? Don't we, Tom?
Yeah.
Cause we had that happen when this place froze up, and I believe after that, they put in the system that if it blows a certain temperature,
It
phone
calls
calls to
them.
Robinsons, and, so I think there's a little more to Robinsons than what we have through them.
Yeah, well, I'm under the impression, cause I have this same plan, and I'm supposed to buy my oil only from them, that's part of the insurance. So I'm wondering if we even have the latitude to, if we have such a plan and we're paying for the insurance, we may be obligated to get the fuel from them anyway.
Right, I mean, you'd have to switch plans,
Right, we'd have to cancel through A. Robinson if we
pick up a
pick
plan
up,
with.
yeah.
But I see you
Thank you.
scratched the $1.99 and we went to $1.89.
I did not do that. That is their handwritten adjustments.
So this is what they came back to you with and said?
Yes. Yes.
Does that put us better in line?
It's
I
still,
didn't calculate it out.
it's still high, or higher, isn't it? Times 4,200?
Oh, wait a minute, I got it right here. Yeah, it's 10 cents a gallon more.
Yeah.
Yeah. 795958.
The other numbers already worked out.
I didn't bring that sheet.
I have it.
7555.3.
I do have it.
So realistically, even though we may save a little money, we're not really saving a lot of money by the time we flip the contracts around and everything else.
No,
Not really.
there's not a lot there. And then you get into the idea that you may have some sort of contractual,
Right.
you may be voiding your insurance.
That's right.
And some of these plans, we should know the answer to this, but in order to get the insurance again, you'd have to go through another inspection process, and they might say, no,
Correct.
that unit's too old, we don't wanna sign you
Correct.
up.
That's,
And it states that right on the website. I think I sent you links to those
Yep.
plans and it said you must go through an inspection
Right.
process.
Yeah.
well, and if they are willing, and I understand this is handwriting, but if this handwriting is real, that's not a bad number now.
It is real. I have the email to back it up.
Okay. then,
And all this is done during, this gets awarded for the budget season. So we can nail down what insurance we actually have between now and then. My whole system's covered.
Right, right.
If-
I've had a boiler completely replaced by A.E. Robinson.
Yeah,
Brand spanking new because I had the,
Yep.
the insurance policy. So, and McCusick does the same thing, but we switched and we had to have everything inspected all over again.
right, because they don't wanna insure a bum.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So, but Robinson's wasn't willing to match McCusick.
No,
they probably would have, but then they would have increased everything else.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, this right here, that's $420 savings.
Yeah,
So us questioning this saved us another $420.
right. And almost pays for our, how much is the insurance policy? 300? Our maintenance policy?
with the new price, it's a difference of $2 between the two bids.
That's what I was thinking
Oh,
we were
then-
around 800 before, now we're at 420
That's
now,
great.
so
That's,
we just
no.
haggled it.
Yeah, that's great. Fantastic.
Paid for one of you guys for half a year.
Thank you. Split it with you.
So do we have to decide, do we have to make a motion to go with one or?
Yeah,
So I'll make a motion that we go ahead with A.E. Robinson based on the October 25th, 2017 bid sheet that they provided us. Is that correct? Is that what that is?
yeah.
Second. No further discussion, all in favor? So we're gonna back up, we're gonna go back to the personnel policy.
Okay.
We're not having any luck getting current, insurance numbers. So we really, it seems like all we can really address here today is the language in the policy so that we can prepare it,
Be ready.
yeah, for whatever.
I did find out that open enrollment is November 15th to December 15th, so there's only a 1 month open enrollment.
Which is good and because it buys us more time to, and everybody's telling us pretty much November 1st, they're gonna have prices for us.
Pretty much, yeah, so, and I sent you the cross. I mean, I've tried to send you everything that I've received, and today I got the 2%, it's a 2% increase for the POSC, but I asked her, I want all the plans increase
It's a
percentages,
piecemeal thing.
yeah.
Well, but
Just-
what you sent before, I mean, they're increasing the cost, but all their co-pays all are going up too. Their deductibles are all going up
Yes.
on every plan, straight across the board.
Yep,
Even the POS,
Yeah.
oh, is this a new one?
No, you get-
Oh,
This is one of our, it was in with the bids that you sent. When the one that had the links
Oh.
for Robinsons and McCusick's
Oh.
on the service
I
plans.
tried to group things together
Yeah, yeah.
and
This-
send
this
less
is
Oh, I
the-
didn't
emails.
see that.
Yeah,
Oh, this,
yeah.
oh, so
this
this
is
is,
the PDF. Yeah,
uh-huh.
so yeah, you can, I mean, they're
Oh, yeah.
not only,
That came out of the Health Works.
yeah.
Just, I got
Did
plenty
you
of
see
these.
that?
That's a copy.
Oh, you got one?
Yeah.
How come yours is green and mine's blue?
Because it was green paper, you must have been running out of ink.
No,
Oh,
No,
these
the
are mine?
PDF was actually green.
Yes,
Yes, they
odd.
are.
And yours printed blue?
mine printed blue. I
you were
don't know.
running out of yellow.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. My printer won't let you print when you're getting low, it shuts you off. So yeah, if you go to page 2,
Aha.
that does the breakdown, and it's clearly, thank you for the 2% increase, and thank you, because I'm raising up every single copay and every single deductible.
Right, it's
On
like,
every single plan.
right, there's two,
Yeah.
there's two things to move here.
Right. Right.
And but this doesn't have numbers. You don't know what, you just know the components they're moving, but, and maybe it is gonna be 2% across the board, but we don't know that.
I don't think so, but. And it was 3% dental, no increase on IPP, income protection.
Now, another thing that I did notice too was that the cross numbers that we were seeing were age-based.
Yes, but I think, were they all age-based?
There was two ways to do it. You could do age-based, or
Yeah,
you
This
could
one is
average it, or you
age-based.
could average it. But I've never seen an offering from MMA that was age-based.
I don't think they do. But I did pose them that question this afternoon as well.
So that'll be another decision we'll have to consider.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really impact the town. It impacts the participants.
Oh boy, right.
Yeah.
And I'm still waiting to hear back from Northern Benefits and Varney as well. And I still haven't heard anything from Kimball.
Have you reached out to Kimball again, or?
Not since, twice I've emailed him. The first time with all the information, and then about 2 weeks later I said, still waiting. And he's like, so am I. Okay,
Oh, he's
Oh,
waiting.
he did
Oh.
respond.
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
See, they're running the same thing we're
Same,
running.
that's
They
right.
can't get
Can't
numbers
get numbers.
because everybody's
All right.
waiting to the last minute to tweet these things.
Okay, well, I feel better if he said, knowing.
Right, that he
you know,
responded.
I don't have anything yet,
Right,
that's
right.
different than.
Ignoring it.
Yeah, that's what I was-
right.
That's all I was make sure that he
No,
wasn't.
no.
Okay,
He's responding.
Yeah.
all right, well, there's nothing really we can keep collecting. Either way, with the way this is going, this just keeps proving we have to make change.
Right.
We've gotta be prepared.
Yeah.
We can wish that things were gonna change, but that's not gonna be the case. This is gonna be a moving target and for a long time, every year, it's gonna have to be revisited. So with that in mind, there may be other components here that need to be addressed between now and when we present them with enrollment options, but clearly item 35 needs to be addressed.
Right.
And you're seeing a suggestion, but that's just, there's a lot in this policy that seems maybe,
I like how your suggestion is short and sweet.
yeah, a lot of it seems
Not a lot of
maybe
verbiage.
Wait,
superfluous.
is this your suggestion?
Yes.
Aha. Oh, okay.
The top is
Okay,
what
got
it is currently, and then the bottom
Okay,
is.
got it.
My only thing, and to talk about out of that, is hourly employees cannot decline coverage in lieu of increased pay.
Yes.
And that was a carryover from the
Right.
Yeah, that's right.
existing
in the-
policy,
that's
that's
right
just
up
there.
above.
No, I understand
Right,
that, but I
yes.
just,
I am not an hourly, I'm a salary.
no, I know that, but is there any reason why we would want that as a policy?
Because some people, I know in the past, have asked, well, I don't have insurance, so,
Well, for example,
Yeah.
you might have a spouse that has insurance, and you're already covered in their plan, so then you
Right.
come in and say, hey, I want whatever that
Right.
is.
Right.
So that's the only reason that you would have that there, because you don't wanna give it to them. It's kind of analogous to the, vacation pay. You can't say, I won't take my vacation and get paid for it under our current policy.
Correct.
If we're gonna hire a temp to cover for that position, I would question why we would do that.
Correct, me too.
Now, if we're not hiring a temp, then you're double paying, so.
Right.
But that would be something I would look for some guidance from you on when we get to that part of it. But yeah, that would be why you would have it in there, because not everybody needs insurance. We could have an employee that goes on Medicare,
That's right.
and would
and
you,
you've had
Sure. Town
managers
managers
that
on
have
Medicare.
done
yeah.
some other kind of plan.
Right.
So then would you necessarily feel like the town was obligated to,
Pay them more? No.
right, that's why it's there.
No.
But on the other side, of that wouldn't bother me a bit, to give somebody an extra $1 an hour if they didn't have benefits. Cause you're saving the town money.
Well, you're not to pay it to them.
That's right.
As long as you know, well, that's what I'm saying, it doesn't have to, in lieu of benefits, doesn't mean you have to match the benefit level, that's what.
Yeah, but then you end up with hourly employees that are not in line with what,
I also would be very reluctant to say, we're gonna reward you for not taking a benefit. That's
Right.
kinda. Just saying. No, it's not, it's not unprecedented. We get,
No, it's not, that's why, cause I know a lot
like
of
companies, but
places
if we
do
don't
that.
get much, you don't get the whole thing. You get a little tiny
Correct,
thing.
yes, that's what I mean.
You know,
Yeah,
if the
you're not
bill's
saying-
800 a month, you get $60 once.
Yeah,
something like that, it wasn't much, if you opted out. But the towns the size of ours are not required to provide any benefit. So it's
benefits.
all
Right.
a very generous thing, that's kind of where
But
I
yeah.
default.
Yeah,
But to get good employees that are loyal and will stay for a long time, you really need to offer your benefits.
right.
I think the town should try to, for as long as it can afford it.
Right.
But it's conceivable that we could get to a place where you can't, the way things are going.
And when we were talking before about benefit dollars, Dale, that's what you were talking about in where you work. Those, do you have to prove that those dollars, or does your employer directly pay for your insurance? I mean, you have to prove that those benefit dollars are
Yeah.
not going to
Yeah,
yours.
they deduct out of my check, so like I get a percentage, I have X amount of benefit dollar, and then I pay the difference, it all comes out of my check, and it
Okay,
all goes into a
okay.
big pool, and
If you were gonna pay 50% of Plan C,
Right.
and that was $500 a month.
Right.
You could say, and you could also offer Plan B and A. They would get that same benefit amount applied to any one of
Either-
those,
and
and then they basically pick the plan they want.
Right, okay,
So that's kind of how I envision the benefit dollar moving around.
right, right.
But we really can't, we don't know that until we get real prices.
Right.
yeah, it's
But-
hard to say 80-20 benefit dollar, or however.
Oh, right.
Yep. Until we get real numbers, we won't be able to know what that number would be.
But my question is the benefit dollar doesn't go in your paycheck and then you
No.
Okay.
No,
It's
my-
taken out of the paycheck and directly paid to the health insurance
Yep.
or to the, okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I only see my portion
I see.
of my health insurance coming out of my check.
Okay.
They- I don't even,
Whatever.
so I say I know what my benefit dollar is, but I never see it, I just know what I'm.
Oh, I
You know
print it
from
on our
selection
checks, we can put it on our
process.
checks. yeah.
That's good, yeah. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. I think that what you've written, your proposal, Mike, is very good, because I think, as you said, it's a moving target, and it allows for,
It doesn't create a long-term obligation or commitment, it is,
But it doesn't not do that either. I
Nope.
mean, you can
Right.
read that however you wanna read it. It says the same thing. I mean, there's none of us sitting here saying we're gonna take health insurance away in 5 years. That's not
No,
what
but
we're
we
saying.
don't like the word may, cause that implies you may take it away.
well, there is a scenario where that probably would happen. I mean, if it got too expensive, there probably would be no health insurance. I think we're gonna
But-
see some fixes down the road, but it's not gonna happen this year.
Right, but like this, like you say, it's a moving target, you're gonna have to review it anyway, I mean,
Right.
and all of your policies should be reviewed.
And I
every 2
underlined
or
it
3
for
years.
us.
Or-
not them.
Right.
I
Or
just-
you
right.
could, you could leave the word currently in exchange of me. You're still saying the same thing.
Right, current, right,
the town currently participates.
right, we're not saying
In
in the
health.
future that we're not going to.
Well, your policy, though, is that status of whether you are participating or not participating would be determined every year. So you may participate, but you may not. You're not obligated to participate. We don't have 50 employees,
Correct.
okay? And so, and what will happen is that every year, unless the insurance really calms down here and there are no moving parts, every year you're going to have a fresh set of offerings.
Right.
And it's very dynamic. And I can't, it's hard to imagine a scenario where you wouldn't offer something, but there's no way to know what they're gonna look like 3 years from now.
That's what I mean, well, I wouldn't, myself, I'm not offended in either way, if it says may or it says currently. Because in either case, we're gonna have this conversation, and if something happens, like right now, let's just say hypothetically, insurance rolls in and it's gonna be $1 million a pop per person. Obviously, we can't afford that.
Right,
So whether this says currently.
Well, then you'd
whether
have
it
to
says-
amend your policy.
That's all it would be.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
But we would, You know what I mean? But it's this easy to do that. It's-
Right.
So that's why I said it doesn't matter to me either way, for that particular word. But I don't see why or where every year you've got a moving target. I would just as soon not see the 80-20 in there.
No, you've
Because
got,
we don't
Right,
know.
right.
We don't know.
No.
I mean, and I'm not saying that I wanna move away from an 80-20 either. I mean,
Right.
I'm really hoping that looking and shopping around, these costs are gonna come in low enough that
well,
we'd be okay. But
because we're looking at this from a totally different perspective, you might come in with a 90-10.
That's why I
That's
don't
right.
want the
Right.
80-20.
Yeah,
You could even come in with a 100% coverage, but
That's
it
right.
might be
plan.
Plan C.
Right,
Right.
But we don't know any of that yet, because we don't have any
right,
numbers.
right.
So, yeah, you can't commit yourself to a percentage in the policy, you simply you commit that you're gonna consider this benefit
Right.
every year. And then the presentation will be made during the enrollment period.
Yeah, I think it's good.
And you haven't really put any handcuffs on any future
Right.
board.
Yeah, that's right.
That's my biggest
That's
thing
right.
that I don't want to do. I do not want a policy that somebody's gonna read in 5 years and go, what in the world are them guys doing? I want it to be a policy that's very clear and doesn't restrain the town and allows us to move forward.
So we can change it from what is up above to down below.
Yes.
let's say. And the last sentence of the policy up above, it just goes away?
Yes. Well, you've checked with MMA, right?
I'm all in favor of the,
I think it's very important to treat all of our employees fairly and equally and all
That's
the
right.
same.
Well, if we adopt this change, it will allow us to make a presentation next month, once we have current numbers. So that's why we're doing this.
so do we have to make a motion?
Yes.
Do you wanna do just this one, or do you wanna do the whole policy? I mean, are you,
I think ultimately, the whole policy needs to be
Right,
reviewed.
right.
But I feel very confident this component needs to be addressed before we
Right.
can even make a presentation.
Right.
The rest of the policy, you can do a comprehensive thing with a workshop, we can piecemeal it if you find things that, it can be altered at any time, but we can't even make a presentation
Right,
for coverage without changing this.
right.
right,
So I think that, I'd like to make a motion that we change number 35 in the personnel policy, general provisions, health insurance and income protection, to, should I read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
The town may participate in a health, dental, and income protection plans. Individual coverage and plan offerings will be reviewed annually and presented to employees during the annual enrollment period. Hourly employees cannot decline coverage in lieu of increased pay.
I would second that change. Any further discussion? Those in favor? It's done.
The other good part about that is having along the other part about being an equal.
Right,
vote.
right, that's,
And I would encourage all of us, all four of us, to keep reviewing this thing and then
Right.
pull out, articles, one at a time, are not a bad way to.
yeah, I like that.
Sometimes if you
I
try to
like
do
that.
it front to back in one sitting, it's gonna,
why don't we look at
number
18?
18?
Is that something you wanna look at now,
Sure.
or,
We can
or a
start.
different topic?
Well, actually, yeah, I have some notes on this. Number 18 is disciplinary action. Do you know what is required by State statute?
Any other town, any other position is an at-will, Maine is an at-will state,
Correct.
so I can just fire you.
Right, but
Without stating.
Yeah,
with no cause.
right.
But these encumbrances, if you will, this is due to our policy, not due to
Correct,
Maine statute?
correct.
So,
I don't mean to be, you're sure of that?
Typically in municipal, it's a 3 strike, you know, you get written up 3 times, you're out. Typically, that's what happens in municipal.
But when
But
we went
it's-
to that, when we went to the
Workshop.
workshop in, Madison,
Madison.
Skowhegan, Madison Road.
Oh.
I thought you had to have cause. I thought there was.
Not in a, for municipal employees, you have to have cause.
Okay, that's,
Oh,
But for any other regular employee, I mean, in
Oh.
any other position,
you don't.
you don't.
Right,
You know,
but-
at Shop and Save, if I'm working at Shop and Save, they can just fire me.
Right, but,
as
so
long as
I,
you
Oh.
don't state a fact or a reason, it's an at-will state, meaning I can go up to anybody at my work and I can walk up and say, your services are no longer needed, thank you very much, good day, and you're done. But what I can't do is go up and say, well, you stunk at this, you're fired.
yeah, or you have a nose ring, you're fired.
Yeah, as soon as you correlate anything other than, or anything that they can say, well, you didn't write me up properly, you didn't do this, or you didn't do that, then that changes everything. But
Right.
as far as to just let anybody go without cause, as long as you don't give cause, you don't need cause.
So, our employees are all municipal employees.
Right.
Typically municipal, it's a 3 write-up.
Okay.
Which is basically what this is saying, though. It says one is an oral, which is your first.
yeah,
But it's not written. But you don't have to do an oral. I mean,
right, it says may include any or all.
And then it says, in some instances, a single incident may justify severe disciplinary action up to and including termination.
Termination.
And I referenced Maine Municipal, is that policy, is that true? Could you really do that?
well, think of people that are embezzling.
I guess somebody punched
I
somebody,
mean,
or, yeah, I guess, yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There are infractions that you could
The problem with this
absolutely
is when the
terminate.
more of this verbiage you put in here, it's all under opinion. So you're saying that you can, but whose opinion determines which level to what?
That's why I keep going back to state statute. I'd like to know what's required
That's
versus what we're
That's all
doing
I'd like
to
have the
ourselves.
verbiage.
Right.
What we
Yeah.
actually have to have under this
Correct.
category, at minimum, is what I would like to see in this category.
Yep,
There
yep,
you go.
there you go.
That's
Well put,
Yeah,
yeah,
you don't wanna make it harder for yourself,
right.
Right.
You
But you
encumber
want it to be, it's
yourself.
gotta be, in this.
but you also don't wanna put yourself in legal jeopardy.
Right,
But-
exactly.
But the other side of this too is you have to be able to, this is as important for your employees as it is for us. Because this interpretation could be used however you wanna take this. I mean, with the right manager in place, oh, look at that, you chewed gum the wrong way, you're fired. Cause it says, one infraction, I can do that. So, the way this is written,
Right.
it's not really, it can be used however anybody really would like to use it, and I don't like it. I would rather have it so it's very clear and to the point.
I guess, yeah, I'd like to know what statute actually requires.
Okay.
And the MMA should be able to help us with that.
Oh, yeah.
And then maybe
What
we
other-
can make a recommendation.
Okay, what other topic do we have? Vacations, 26. We mentioned that, I heard earlier.
Did we?
When we did the flex time stuff, is that part of this? I don't think it
It
is.
never became part of
I
this.
think it should be.
Well,
And
that's an example
that-
where what I thought we could do and what you can do are totally different. You can't be flex timing all over the place, it turns out. I think it's supposed to be in the same week
Has to
that they
be the same
work,
week.
like, that's DOL.
Yep. Yes.
And it's not even in here. And I don't even think I saw comp time in here either.
So with regard to 26 and vacations, is it, I have, again, is there a state requirement? Is there any statute that requires paid vacations? Do we know that?
As far as I know,
I
there's
don't think
not
so,
any.
but
That's a benefit. I don't.
It's like a benefit,
As
it's
far as-
something the
I mean,
town,
that would be an MMA, because it might be different in municipal, but I don't believe any employer is required by state statute to do a vacation. I can tell you that where I work, it's 1 week after 2 years, 2 weeks after 5, 3 after 10, 4 after 20.
4 after 20, 4 weeks.
4 weeks,
Regarding vacations,
which is actually the same as 20 days.
Yeah,
I say weeks, but.
yeah.
do you have occasions where you think you would have to hire someone if one of our employees went on vacation? I mean, you don't have to answer it right now, but
We've had to, actually,
we've
had
hired
to-
temps
We've had to
previously.
bring in temps to help out in the office, depending on the time of the year and stuff like that. Not full-time, but,
right.
because I know like Alvina's sister, when Doreen was out for, 2 or 3 weeks, and Alvina's sister come in and helped out a lot.
Well, so that's that's the discretion I would want to give my manager.
Yes, there is that situation, but I'm a different kind of person because I can step in and
Right,
fill those shoes.
right.
So,
Into those trio
But
shoes.
if you
but
had.
if I didn't, yeah.
Right, if you had an employee that said, listen, I'll take my vacation in cash, and you don't have to hire somebody, I think I would want my town manager to have that latitude.
You mean in cash?
In other words, you pay me, and I won't take the time off. Right now, that we're not allowed to do that.
I'll work that week.
Right.
I'll work that week.
We'll just say, let's say your clerk was
Right.
gonna leave, and that would require your town manager to hire someone part-time.
Oh, I see.
So then if the clerk said, well, you know what, I won't take the time, you don't have to hire anybody, but I still wanna get paid for my vacation. Right now, under our current policy, you can't do it.
Right.
Now, what happens like if they don't take all their vacation? Is it rolling? I'm not seeing it here, that's why I'm.
No, yeah, it's the second paragraph.
Will
Employees
forfeit
who do
it.
not take their vacation time
Oh,
will forfeit it
forfeit.
if it is not taken within 12 months of being earned.
Pay.
so you're always
Oh,
rolling 12 months ahead.
so it says no one will receive pay in lieu of vacation time.
Right, and that's what he's talking
You're right,
about.
right. Yeah, because you'd have to pay them twice, you'd have to pay them twice.
Correct, but
Yeah.
if I'm paying you while you're on vacation,
Yeah.
and I'm paying the person
Right,
that I
right,
brought
right.
in.
What does it
Twice
matter?
anyway.
Right,
It's-
and plus
it's a
you know
wash.
exactly what you're doing, and so,
It's a
I'm
wash,
just.
I see.
Now, you may not want to, the town manager might say, you know what, I'm only gonna hire you a temp for 2 days, so you go ahead and take your vacation.
Right.
But I guess what I'm saying is, I'd want my manager
Right.
to have that discretion. Now, maybe you can't do it that way.
And I think you should be allowed to carry some.
Oh, you do?
I don't like the idea of
Me
banking
neither.
it for
Some.
Me neither.
Years and years, well, you got it for 12 months. It's 12 months, rolling 12.
The way we do ours is,
Well, no, because they get on the anniversary.
Of their hire?
Yes.
see, the way we do ours, you get your vacation January 1st. January 1st, I get my 4 weeks. And then I can use my 4 weeks January 1st if I want to. The bad part is if I get done before my anniversary, I have to pay back whatever weeks that
Oh, I
I
see.
didn't earn yet.
Right.
That's how
Oh,
they do it.
they prorate it.
Yeah. I mean, you have it January 1st to use it, but in the event you get done or if you get terminated, you're paying it back.
So if you got terminated in the middle of the year, you'd have to pay half of
Depending on
your
when you're-
vacation.
Your hire date is. Because it's working off hire date, but they're giving it to us off
Oh,
calendar.
it gets very complicated.
I don't care if
Yeah.
it's on higher data. In
Yeah.
our system, it's. we
But I
can
mean,
just
that's the
set
only
it
good
up
part,
that
is I
way,
get
it's
mine
fine.
January 1st, but instead of waiting until you hire.
Ah,
But the other piece that we do is, we're mandated you have to take 1 week off. Then after that, the rest of it you can take in lieu of. But you have to take one. So,
huh.
and we're not allowed to bill
You're not.
I don't think they are, I mean, they'll take their vacation time.
Yeah.
So was you mainly thinking that one verbiage, Mike?
Well, but look, here you go. Look at the next question, the next paragraph. It says, in the event of separation from employment, employees may be paid for accrued, unused vacation time, in no case to exceed 5 weeks. Well, it says you can't,
You can't
if you can't take it, you can, I mean, you're
You
only
can't
gonna
get
get
5
5 weeks after 20 years.
25 years. 20 years.
After
yeah.
20 years, you get 5 weeks, so
That doesn't even need to be
that
in there.
doesn't even make sense. I mean, they're contradicting itself right there in those 2 paragraphs.
Is it?
Yeah, well, there was some in here because one of them references that without action of the council.
Oh.
I said, okay. They said they pulled this off the computer.
Because the other thing is you don't want somebody having worked for whatever amount of years and have accrued so many vacation days that they can retire 2 years early and
No,
get
you don't-
paid for the
Well,
next 2
that's
years.
what happened to me in Bradford. She had like over 2,000 hours accumulated of vacation time, and it took us 4 years to buy her out.
Oh, no, we can't do that.
That's why I
no.
don't like the idea.
Yeah.
Well, that's
no.
why you have a max.
But I'm, yeah, no.
And then she has to use all of her vacation time. She gets 5 weeks, and she's not allowed to let any of hers roll. 'Cause she's at the max.
But for the amount of weeks off they're getting in this quick of a time frame, I don't see where.
Yeah, because that's more accelerated than your.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
very much. I mean, 5 weeks. Nobody in the private sector gets 5 weeks anymore. They cut everybody back to 4. Period.
Really?
Oh, so that may be going away.
I could work 40 years and I'm never gonna see 5 weeks.
40 years, did you say?
Yeah, I would
Oh.
never see it.
Really?
No, you can't. It's impossible to get to 5 weeks. They took that right off the top.
I don't want to impact anybody who's already earned
Right.
something, but I do think that these rates should be adjusted. We
Going
don't,
forward.
for the town to be committed to that seems
Now, what
pretty
kind
onerous.
of, can we put how do we put a clause like that? I mean, to make this change, but have that so our current employees are grandfathered or however the
Exactly.
verbiage, so, you know, I mean,
Or you could we just hypothetically cap it at 3, except for those who have already earned beyond 3. And that's, going forward, it's capped at 3, or 4, whatever you wanna agree to. But grandfather the current employees that
Yeah.
have earned that benefit. I think looking at it through that prism would make sense.
Yeah.
So, we can noodle that one.
That's another one that's gonna be. And then one of the other things that I had pointed out before was, you know, the discrepancies of what is a regular work week. In one section it's 32 hours, in another section it's 30. So we need to make sure we
That
read
needs to
through
get
it and get that
Okay.
uniform. 12, section 12 is one of them, that's where it says 32. I don't remember where it said 30.
Extension of sick leave can only be granted by majority vote of the town council.
where did you see that, Mike?
Pretty hard to do that here, isn't it?
What number are you on?
Number 1, salaried exempt employee, 25 at the very bottom, E. 25 is sick leave, page 7. So right now, if you needed an
Town
extension,
council.
we'd have to convene a council.
We'd have to have that. That's good.
That's crazy. That's funny.
Glad this was reviewed and approved by an attorney.
Well, there's a little Esquire mark on the bottom, isn't there?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Eating,
You keep on
oops.
it.
Oh my. Yeah, we paid for that.
So we do kind of need to read it with a fine tooth comb to find those little mistakes like that.
I gotta go. Pardon me? Thank you. Thank you.
Do we,
I'm leaving
okay,
the meeting.
I think you're fine.
I
Thank
will,
you.
I will.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, the only other,
Good night.
okay.
Unless like there was something, even the resignation one, I mean, they all need a tweak.
Well, and every single one of these, I have this repeated notation, what is required by Maine state statute? Because I really wanna know.
Yeah.
23, an employee may resign by submitting and writing a notice of intent. The town requests 2 weeks' notice in advance of termination. Well, if failure to submit 2 weeks' notice in writing may be cause for denial of future employment with the town. Whether you do or not has,
Yeah, it's like, what?
I mean, it's, it really,
The lot can be cleaned out of this.
yeah. I think we could, yeah, what was printing?
Yeah, I had a question on the grievance procedure, what was required and what is, our own making. Has MMA reviewed this for us? This policy as a whole?
I have submitted it to them for other things, but not as a policy. I would have assumed that the lawyer would have.
It's almost like you get charged by the word sometimes. But I would be curious if we sent it to them and said, if you could strip this down to the bare minimum required in the state statute, could you, strike what you think we could get away with?
Well, isn't that what they have on their website?
Do they have one? I
I
haven't.
thought that's what you said.
Well, no, they said
Yes.
that you need, they said you do need an
I
attorney.
may have access to some of the things that you can't see.
Okay,
I have a username and password.
I do too.
Oh, you do, so
Yeah.
you've got
Yeah.
access to all of it then.
The only other piece too that I wanna make sure that we tie up on, because we did receive lots of complaints last winter, is, and I don't know why it's 30-31, cause it's only all the same policy, but that's the smoking policy.
30?
It's 30-31, that's how it's,
Yeah,
it's like somebody screwed up on the numbering system.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
they
29,
deleted
30.
something, they deleted something out of the 30.
oh, and didn't wanna change the order of everything
I think
else.
they just-
Okay.
Is that how that happened?
Yeah.
We need to have something in here about town vehicles and not smoking in them. It's only clearly wording about in the buildings.
Yeah, it should include vehicles.
Because the problem is that had a problem with last year is we have a contractor that uses the town loader that, which honestly, when I smoked, I guess I didn't realize it as bad as now. I'm like the worst non-smoker there ever was. Ask my wife.
I can't stand it.
So anyway, he was complaining every time he would go to load the sand trucks. Because the loader, that's what he could smell getting in because the other people were smoking in it, so. And I know this just says buildings, but I'm really thinking.
Right, it should be vehicles.
It should be the
Yeah.
equipment as well, so.
I bet you.
So actually, if you could just touch on that a little bit before we get to winter with somebody, then might fix the problem before.
I wonder if the state plow drivers are smoking in those trucks. I bet they are.
I don't think you.
Yeah.
I bet legally they're not supposed to be. I mean,
Yeah, well, yeah.
so.
I happen to know one, I'll ask her.
All right.
Number 38, I don't really know how I feel about that one either. I don't know if we really ought to say personal effects or more so tools or items needed for a job or,
Well, it's kind of like, so you drop your iPhone 8
that's what I'm saying.
on the ground
Yes.
while you're walking to the plow truck.
Or
Do we have to pay for that?
Correct.
Under this policy, you might be able to make that argument.
you would be, I would think you're paying for it. But I mean, if, you know, whatever, if Alvina's likes her own personal calculator and using it in the office and it dies or whatever, then yeah, I fully think we should be paid for that, but I can see where, with the cost of some of this stuff. we could-
I just wonder how much personal stuff you're even using to do your job. I mean, even, obviously, all your electronics, all your computers, that's all town property.
I would hope.
You really, if you're public works, you shouldn't be using your own tools, you should be using our tools. I guess if you broke your glasses, would we pay for those?
Yeah, I would think you would.
Maybe, we would. And the phone, I guess, is the one that really jumps out.
That's the one I'm worried about, honestly.
Those are expensive.
They're like $800 a copy,
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, we could add with the exception of cell phones. Not to include cell phones.
because because I'm.
There isn't much else that would get.
I don't know why it needs, like you said. If you need it for work, then we should be supplying it. We shouldn't be asking anybody to be bringing in a bunch of
Yeah,
stuff, personal items.
personal effects, you lose it.
But I just see where you could get into a situation.
Well, that is your sticky wicket. It probably should be something that you're having to use to perform your job. Your glasses, you have to have your glasses to do your job. If you're carrying your personal cell phone, that's your choice.
You could word that the way you did, and with manager's approval, or so that way that you would know. You know what I mean? You hire somebody with glasses, you don't have to approve that. You know they have
Right.
glasses.
Right, I
If they
mean,
break, then we could have that conversation. But for somebody to just show up, and,
you could open your vehicle to get in and your laptop falls out into the parking lot, are we gonna pay for that?
correct?
I would say no,
Me too.
but you might find this clause supporting your claim.
Right.
So we want that less ambiguous.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's my whole thought of the entire policy.
We've never had I'm not aware that we've ever had an
We
issue.
never have, but I just assume if we're gonna go through this, we should,
Yep.
if there's any place where we think we have something that could be an issue, why not fix it?
Right.
So. But something else to think about for next time, so.
Do we wanna set a special workshop to do line by line?
I would prefer not to do it in a workshop, because if we're gonna do line by line, I'd like to have it so all three of us are here, and that we can get the verbiage where we all agree it should be, and approve it, and move it forward. Rather than talk about it,
So just have it as a special meeting then?
What do you think? I mean, that's my.
Well, I think taking it home and doing what we're doing right now, by yourself, making your notes, coming up with, if you have questions like, what's the difference, what is required under state law and what are we electing to do? You can go to Lois and she'll get you, all of us, answers on that. Then when we come, we have a productive meeting.
Yeah.
So I think ultimately, yes, we will have a workshop, but I think we all have more due diligence before we get there, otherwise we're gonna kinda waste our time. So it's kind of, the ball's in our court to go through this, and if we have questions for you, send them to you, or, call you.
Yeah.
And we'll work our way through it, and then we can all sit down and do like we just did with item 35. Have suggestions and knock them off. I'd be interested if we could get other towns' policies to look at.
I just found Hamden's.
Oh, did you?
It just came up as a PDF when I was reading.
So maybe that's something we could look at, is what other towns are
Yeah.
doing, just as a point of reference. Milford, for example.
I can get you Bradford and Garland. I helped write Garland, make those changes.
No, that's my biggest thing. I mean, you can read all this, and a lot of it is, to me, a policy should protect both sides and all parties involved, and I just don't see where a lot of this is not.
Yeah, and
fully
takes
doing.
away confusion,
Yeah.
because everybody knows the rules.
Yeah.
Everybody has a point of reference. That's exactly really
Yeah, this is supposed to be nuts and bolts.
correct.
This isn't supposed to be a big hole that you just throw everything in.
I think Bradford's is this big.
I don't mind the length of it as long as it's useful terminology or useful topics.
Right. And some of it, I think, you know, like 1, 2, and 3 is required, more or less. Family medical leave is required.
Sure, those
whistleblower.
things are really straightforward,
Yep.
yep,
Those are, you have to have those in there.
yep.
There's even a smoking prohibition prohibited in the workplace of the town,
Yep.
paragraph including vehicles.
In Hamden.
This provision would also include any vehicles owned or operated by the town. Hang on to this.
Yeah, because I mean, realistically, if you read ours says in the entrance, but I really believe by main statute, don't believe you're supposed to smoke on the ground.
Nope.
QR, no.
Right. We had to actually enforce it for rec committee. Parents would come to sporting events, and it's
Right.
like, you can't, because it's town property, so you can't smoke.
Right.
I know you're a parent, but I'm sorry.
Hey, I've smoked out on the side of the road many years. So I understand taking a walk, so.
Yep.
Anything further on this for tonight? Okay. Moving on. 9, correspondence.
You got the newsletter from MRC.
Yep.
That's it.
Item 10, request for additional agenda items.
I think we have it covered.
No executive session tonight. Next meeting is November 1st at 5.
Back to our regular schedule.
I make a motion that we adjourn.